Are we are we good to go? Yes, we're good to go. Great. Welcome back, everybody. I'm very pleased to introduce you for this third and final presentation, Zen Olenski. Zen is, I'm pretty sure, in fact I'm certain, is the longest standing DMLab member. What did we say, 2006? You've been coming to DMLab around then, which is pretty astonishing. So Zen has made all sorts of instruments. We bought a few with them over the years, but this is a really very different kind of category of instruments to the ones we've seen, and in fact to anything that we've seen at DMLab before. I won't spoil the surprise, but I will hand you over, please, with a round of applause to Zen Olenski.
Thank you. Mankind loves music. The flute predates the wheel by some 39,000 years, so it's clear that expressing ourselves is more necessary than getting about. Music was more important than movement. Some people say that the wheel is the most important invention of all time. If that was the case, why did it take another 39,000 more years? Clearly, people were happy with their flutes. In 2024, we have more than flutes to choose from. We have synthesizers. And you know what they say? Give a man a record and they dance for the day, but give that man a synthesizer and they can dance for a lifetime. There are now so many amazing synths and musical tools. The problem is many of them are really confusing to use, and what's worse is they seem to be getting more complicated. With infinite sounds come infinite controls. So there are some new challenges, though the goal is still ultimately the same: to capture and authentically represent your expression. But how are you supposed to express yourself authentically when there are so many controls? Instead, what if we could make an instrument that converts your natural physical expressions into auditory expressions with sounds that accurately reflect your intention? Turn movement into sound. But how do you convert movements into music? Musical instruments mostly do this already, only they have rules that require you to play them a specific way before they reward you with music rather than just sounds. It's all practice, practice. Most musical instruments just don't come easily. So, rather than requiring someone to alter their physical expression to work with an instrument, how about we alter the instrument to work with that person? With more evidence, we can prove that it would make it easier to learn a new skill, one that doesn't place any restraints on your physical movements, so you can really express yourself in the way that you feel most comfortable. But what would a musical instrument look like that uses your natural physical expressions as the basis for auditory ones? Some of you might remember the bowler hat, the magic bowler hat from a previous DMLab. We paired it with the beard organ, if you remember. By using hidden accelerometers and gyroscopes, it would work out which direction your head was facing, as well as which way it was leaning and which way it was tilting. Anybody who wore it would be granted musical superpowers. Once lockdown started, I decided to continue developing the idea, but make it so that everybody could play with their own magic bowler hats at home, and without even needing a hat. Luckily, I've made a few similar things before, including this, the original photosynth from DMLab, I think 2010. And this uses your video camera to capture your performance in real time and use that as the basis for pop music. So with a lot of work with the DMLab team about ergonomics and implementation, together we created a smile-powered synthesizer. This is a multiplayer collaborative musical instrument, but today I'm happy to also reveal this special exclusive holographic edition that will be living here at the AMIC and has this special gimbal camera that tracks your face and moves around, which means that as long as it can see you, you're ready to make music. So how do you play it? Well, there are different modes of operation, but this is the one that works for me. So by opening the mouth, similar to singing, you start the audio. Can we get the audio on this one, Rob?
Do some replugging.
Sorry, that's okay.
Play the song. Yeah, I think I might have to quickly just turn that off. Sorry, that's okay. Right. Where's your screen gone? Correct. Too many windows. Okay. Right, I'll just do a quick switch over from there.
Try that. So just like singing, opening your mouth starts the sound, and leaning your head left and right changes the note. Tilting your head back and lifting your nose up and down sets the octave. And changing the mouth shape changes the sound. Looking left and right changes the stereo separation. And closing your eyes for a while will change instruments. Pointing your nose to the right plays the white keys. Pointing it to the left plays the black ones. If you raise your eyebrows, you can add pitch, bend, or sustain. And if you can control your eyebrows separately, then you can even have more fun with other filters. There's lots of stuff to discover, including jaw rolls, cheek puffing, different mouth shapes, blink gestures, even gurning. So collaboration is encouraged, and on the multiplayer version online, you can have up to 4 people playing with the same camera, each one taking a layer of the song, such as the bass is the lead, bass or the lead. So I've just finished writing some papers about this. I've written my 4th paper about this new technology. This one's called Musical Avatars and describes the technicalities in the research. So if anyone's interested in reading up about it, it'll be online soon. And you can play with the full augmented reality online version of the photosynth over at this address, interface.place. Extra special thanks to these people. Should we do a demo now? I swap this around. Oh, sorry. everyone should come down and have a little play if they have a little chance to today. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to show this off today. I think it's going to live full time here, so if anybody wants to come along and play with it, offer advice, give their own suggestions, please, I do welcome them all. If anybody has any questions, please send them over now.
Any questions in the room? Deborah, do we have any? No, okay, no worries. Zen, I know you've got some exciting plans for what you're planning to do. Why don't you tell us about what you're planning, where you're planning to go with this instrument?
So this is a multiplayer instrument. I've made it currently today to work with just a single person, so to make it a bit more accessible. But ideally, I do want this to be a collaborative multiplayer instrument. So there's going to be a few versions of this installed amongst the public. So if you're going for a stroll one day and you see yourself reflected in a mirror, do be sure to give it a smile in case it creates some music. I'm hoping to get some extra input into this to commercialize it as well. Currently, it has been a labor of love with Drake and many years invested into it. But I think that there's a lot of potential that currently hasn't been considered that I'd like to have the opportunity to work on.
Amazing. I mean, it's a really kind of interesting performance in the sense that your expression is such an integral part of the actual music very directly. How does it feel as a performer to make music that way?
I think because my limited motion makes the movements that I've chosen to create the auditory sensations, it makes the performance quite a unique thing to me. But the way that the software is configured is that it tries to work out what works for each person. So every person who joins the software gets interpreted in a slightly different way. So although I probably embarrass myself on stage today, pulling facial muscles I wouldn't normally do, I think that it gives a range of fidelity and expression that otherwise wouldn't be affordable. And it gives a range of extra dexterity that I don't think other instruments necessarily consider. So I think with the right approach, you can really express whatever movements that you need. It doesn't necessarily have to be face related. I've got versions that work with the hands. I've got versions that piggyback onto your eyes. So it really does tailor itself to the person that's using it. So yeah, I'm quite embarrassed using it, but at home it's brilliant.
You shouldn't be. I mean, it looks it's a very compelling performance, actually. I think it's
I would have liked to have done some acid GABA, but I know that it's not popular these days.
I don't know. I mean, give it a go, see how everybody feels.
Stick around if anyone wants to see that.
Absolutely. Nicola has a question.
It's more of a gush, really. But I wondered if you could say a bit more about your use of the word singing, because what I really welcome and value, I feel that the idea of voice is sort of the missing element in terms of accessible instrument discourse in a way, because there's often so much reference to the physiological voice. And obviously in terms of, the disabled community, we understand that voice is not very infrequently just about the physical kind of normative vocal apparatus. And I'd just really love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that's a really lovely question. Thank you very much. I think it's very accurate to point out that the voice is the primary way that we communicate. And I think for a lot of people, they struggle to communicate properly because they don't have the confidence in their own singing or speaking abilities. So part of the project here is that we try and take the intention and convert the intention into an expression. I think using the voice as a sort of easy to learn and easy to explain gateway for the the voice that comes out of it. It means that I don't have to necessarily explain the system of operation, but also if I can piggyback onto that, immediately people get what it is. So I've referred to it as the smile-powered synthesizer, because when I originally showed this to some kids, they didn't get it at all. And then they started just smiling at themselves. That was it. They figured it out immediately. So I think what I'm trying to do is piggyback onto emotions that people naturally affect themselves with and that are quite commonplace. I think there's a lot of natural language that is unspoken that people don't realize. And I think if you can capitalize on that by allowing them to either become musical themselves or by adding an extra element of musicality to them. Like, I can't sing very well, but with this I can pretty much make an oboe sound or a saxophone sound. I can replace my voice with whatever I want it to be. And I think that has a certain powerful cachet that I don't think many other instruments have. So I like the concept of it's kind of enhancing your natural abilities, but it also doesn't expect you to have any specific abilities. I'm currently struggling with my vision, so I often have an eye patch on. So I've made this work specifically with as many different people as possible. The original photosynth that I showed on the screen, that had a few teething problems in that all of the machine learning that I'd trained it on kind of expected able bodies. So this one has been specifically designed from the ground up to recognize the full diversity of the human spectrum. And I think by starting there and building on those foundations, it's a lot simpler than sort of jerry-rigging it at the end and trying to add those things in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Amazing, thanks. Are there any other, yes, sure. I think we have a question online, so.
Can you
Yeah.
say the question, Adrian, and then I'll share it with the room because the room can't hear you, unfortunately.
I'm
okay.
just saying with Rob, what we will try and do, because I think probably the camera wasn't set up very well to capture Zen's performance very well. So perhaps at the end of the once the presentations are finished, Zen, if you could do a little reprise of that so that people can see a little bit more online, can see a bit more closely what you were doing, that would be great. If that's all right. So
yeah, I can
make sure.
put the presentation online as well.
Right, so Adrian, if you say the question, I'll repeat it to the room on your behalf.
Yeah, so I just first wanted to say thank you so much for hosting the talk. I really enjoyed it. And so I'm a sophomore in high school and I'm a trumpet player. And just to follow up on bringing voice to the disabled community, I'm currently working on a project of my own, which is creating a digitally modified trumpet that instead of blowing into the instrument, you use a sliding wheel that acts as the different air speeds. And so I think this would be helpful for people with breathing problems or some sort of paralysis. And I was just wondering what you think the best way to bring this to the community is so I can reach as many people as possible.
Right, so let's do that a little bit slower. I'm going to spotlight you. Unfortunately, the room can't hear you, but I'll do my best to repeat. Just a moment, sorry. Yes, sorry, I'm just going to spotlight Adrian. Right, so Adrian says, thank you, this was very interesting. And Adrian says they're a sophomore student and they're working on a, did you say you're a trumpet player, sorry?
Yes.
Trumpet player working on an instrument which you've shown on the screen. You can show it now and the people in the room can see it. Tell me a little bit more about it and I'll relay that information.
So instead of having to blow into the instrument like a regular trumpet, it uses a
blowing
sliding
into the instrument like a regular trumpet,
it uses a wheel that would act as like the different air speeds, and you can go with more air or less air.
Uses a wheel and with less air or more air, you're able to play the instrument. Is that right?
Yes.
Brilliant. Do you want to share it again and just turn it around slightly so people can see it? How long have you been working on this instrument?
A couple months now, 2-3 months.
Couple of months, 2 or 3 months. Amazing. Thank you for sharing, Adrian.
I was
You had
just
a question,
wondering.
yes.
I was wondering for the people who spoke today. Do you think the
Sorry.
best way to bring this to the community?
Repeat the question again, Adrian. Sorry.
For the people that spoke here today, what do you think the best way is to bring this to the community to reach as many people as possible?
What do you think the best way, this is for the people who presented, what do you think the best way to share this and for it to reach, for the instrument to reach the community? What's the best way to do that? And the question is for all the presenters, if you have any advice for Adrian.
So almost certainly the best way to get feedback about an instrument is to make a video about it and to post it online. And if you tag in DMLab, pretty sure you can get our community to give you some positive feedback. Or you can send us a
Awesome,
session
thank
if you
you.
made one and we can play with it ourselves.
I'm currently developing it and it's not totally ready, but when it's ready, I'll definitely look into that.
Once it's ready, it will be shared because Adrian's saying they're currently working on it. Thank you so much, Adrian.
So could I just add to that a little bit, Adrian? Just get in touch with us as well, because we're all, I mean, and this goes to everybody. We're always looking for new instruments for people to show the stuff that they're working on here at DMLab. And so, you know, please do get in touch and, you know, drop me a line, get in touch via the socials, because we're really interested in presenting this kind of work. This is a platform specifically for that purpose. So you or anybody else is interested, just let us know and we will find a slot for you one way or another.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you want to have a little play with this, do come along to the AMIC in the future. We'll have this set up full-time basis. Bring along your instruments. It's MIDI connectable. Bring along your CV instruments as well. Bring along your modulars. We'll have a jam. It'll be good. Thank you.
Amazing, Zen. Thank you so much.